Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
There's ways, and part of our process that we put in place is systems that allow you to figure this out really in short-term spans so you don't go down that road.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important because you have to protect yourself. We have to be realistic. We're also dealing with humans, and we all come with our own needs, our own hurts, our own histories, right?
And it depends on when you collaborate. Don't mean to cut you off, but sometimes when you're coming from one part of your life into another and collaborating with somebody, you could be even more vulnerable, and then somebody could take advantage of that. So yes, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So along with that comes, I think, a mindset of generosity and gratitude. Are they givers, or do they only take? And then another one is a positive attitude. I had no clue how important this was. I mean, I knew it was important, but I didn't realize how important it was until with one of my manufacturing companies, it was in the beauty business, and we were doing a photo shoot in Hollywood. The photographer I had was a Hollywood photographer. He was also a former Marine. So he was very artistic, but he had this Marine drive. And we came to the photo shoot. I called him from Minneapolis and said, would you please help me with this and schedule the talent that we need? We needed 10 models. He put together a group of 200 from which we had to sort down to 10. I said, oh my goodness, this is going to take us days to figure it out. Let me go get the stylist, the makeup people, and we'll figure out the models. It'll take time. He goes, no, we will be done with this job, the first round, in 2 hours. I said, really? How are we going to do that? He said, first of all, we're not going to have makeup or hair here. We're going to do it based on 3 questions. Here were the 3 questions. What's your name? What's your address? What was your last gig? That was it. And he said, what we listen for is, how do they respond? If they're annoyed because they know that they already wrote on the application their name, eliminate them. If they don't think that it's your right to know their address, eliminate them. And if they don't want to tell you what their last gig is, eliminate them. You know what? Each one got about 2 to 3 minutes. And in that period of time, we whittled it down to the 10 people we needed. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I'm shocked. Wow.
So, and that was beauty. And so, I mean, I said, how are we going to manage this and have the top talent we need for beauty? He said, Lois, there's always a beautiful person, but there is not always a great attitude. And one bad attitude will destroy our photo shoot. So about 2 years later, we were invited by the German consulate and the US consulate to host a event in Milan. It was at a private villa, and only people who had access to political pull could host an event at this villa. And so we were invited to do an event. And it was going to consist of a photo shoot first, and then it was a champagne brunch and discussions with the top fashion magazines of Europe. So we had Marie Claire, Mademoiselle, Vogue, all the big people were there. Mm-hmm. And again, we needed to go through models and figure out who we were going to have. And so we went around the room asking the 3 same questions: your name, your address, your last gig. And at that time, we had a little bit larger group, and we all, got together, looked at what our results were. All of us agreed on the candidates for the photo shoot, except for our photographer. And he objected to one that we had put on our list. And he said, okay, we'll go through and ask a second series of 3 questions and see how they respond, and see what you decide. The second time, we eliminated the one that we had all of us except for our photographer had agreed on before. As soon as we made the announcement, this model went into an explosion. She was considered Europe's top model, and why would we not have her? We had Miss Brazil there, we had a top person from Romania. I mean, we had the creme de creme of talent there. But the number one of Europe, we eliminated. Finally, we had to have her removed. And so there was the photographer's point. Imagine if on the day of your event, this had happened, you would have had the whole event destroyed. And that's the problem with attitude. You don't control it, you don't predict it, and it's destructive. So choosing your right partner, having a positive attitude. I learned you better have a positive attitude.
It means everything. In that situation, I have 2 words for that. Bye-bye. See ya. Yeah. You don't want anybody like that on your team. And it doesn't matter how famous you are, beautiful you are. It's, you know what? It's toxic. That type of attitude is going to bring everybody down and just not good. There's other people you can find, sure.
So second is look at your boundaries. Know what your boundaries is. And this is where people who are self-confident know their boundaries. Think of a family. A strong family knows who they are. They can go out in the community and work and do things and never lose their identity because they know who they are. They know what they're contributing. You don't lose yourself. Actually, you grow because of your contribution and your connections, right? Mm-hmm. But we fear that. What am I going to lose instead of what am I going to gain?
It's an interesting way to put it because we normally don't think of it that way.
Right? We don't. We get stuck on so many things that in the end really probably don't matter so much, but that is where we get stuck. And then I think the other, Steve, is opportunities. When we collaborate, we see opportunities that far exceed what we could see by ourselves. When I was growing up in Japan, there was a saying that they had in Japanese, and that was, once your eyes get widened, they can never be narrowed again. So if you only have narrow vision, this is what you see. But once you widen them, you now have a wide vision that takes in a lot that you never were able to take in before. So that's what collaboration does. It widens your vision. You now have 180, 360 vision, and it goes off into the distance. So the more we collaborate, the more that we see of opportunities. And then another aspect of collaboration is using and sharing resources. One of the interesting pieces of research comes out of research at universities looking at success of students. And what they were studying was what groups of students do best on test scores. And what they looked at was they took students that performed at an equal level. So they took all their test scores, their SAT scores, their ACTs from before college, and then looked at how they were performing in college. And here's what they found that was so interesting. The Asian students outperformed all the others. Do you know why?
What's that?
They worked together. They wanted to make sure each other succeeded. They came back, they worked in groups, they talked, they solved the problems together.
It's like for the greater good.
For the greater good. Yep. They were working for the greater good. Visit our website at www.startwithcollaboration.com. We're eager to help you with the challenges that you face today. There are many, and although there's challenges, there are opportunities. It's knowing how to look for them.